Barton Scott,
biochemist, inventor, behavioral nutritionist, and international speaker.
founder and CEO of Upgraded Formulas.
What you're saying is that probably want to test ourselves like every 3 months or so.
It's a lot like us going on a road trip together. How many times do we look at navigation to get to our destination? Once. So we're actually seeing a 300% and 90-day improvement, which is huge for working out and certainly for sex.
I'm blown away. How do we overcome those days when we just feel so low in energy?
God.
And we have so much to do.
Right. I mean, one of the things that I've put together is a stack called Upgraded T, which does a couple different things. And this is important, by the way, for both women and men. Women after about 25 also have low testosterone. And, a lot of people are not aware of this fact, but a healthy woman has over at least 10 times more testosterone than estrogen. And sometimes up to, I've seen stats as high as 30x. So it's very, very important. And it's one of the things that, causes low sex drive and poor concentration. And, with that comes the inability to finish tasks for both men and women. So there's a lot of, there's purified Shilajit, which I recommend, and it's a certain form we use in that blend that's actually studied, and also has low levels of heavy metals. So, and that's been known through literally millennia as a fatigue destroyer. And that's one of 5 ingredients in that stack.
And it's called Upgraded Tea.
Upgraded
right?
Tea.
So I take this. I take this on days when I know I'm going to need a certain jolt of energy, like when I'm organizing a conference or an event. But you mentioned something to me. You said don't take it after 5 p.m. because it might disrupt your sleep. Yeah,
it has something in it called S7 that I know Sean knows a lot about as well. I'm sure the S7 has some green coffee bean, so a really small amount. So unless you're having a late night, then you wouldn't want to. And that's the case for most of these things that are going to give you energy. You're going to, for most of them, not all, right. You're going to want to stop them after a certain point in the day, like 3 p.m. or so, like no coffee, because of people being slow metabolizers.
Right. So you can get upgraded magnesium, upgraded moods, and upgraded tea from upgradedformulas.com. Please use promo code VISHEN, VISHEN. If you appreciate this podcast, want to support our work, and have us continue bringing amazing guests like Barton and Sean, use promo code VISHEN, VISHEN, on upgradedformulas.com. And I use upgraded magnesium daily. I use upgraded tea when I need to. I'm yet to try upgraded moods, but I cannot wait to try it. I trust it's going to be incredible. Now, Barton, firstly, do you have any stacks that improve confidence, swagger, or one's belief in themselves?
Absolutely. Really, our overall process of understanding what you're deficient in is a direct yes to that question.
Because your moods change. When you know you can control your moods and you have mastery over that, your confidence goes up.
That, and absolutely, and also just your resilience, your energy. When you're not anxious, you're likely to be more confident. So upgraded mood, upgraded tea, peak thyroid for your thyroid. And
what does peak thyroid do? That's a new supplement you just mentioned.
Yeah, so peak thyroid is a blend of 4 different minerals that also are necessary as raw ingredients to build hormones that, really the job of that gland, and all glands, are to produce hormones. So with adrenals, you have certain hormones. With thyroids, you want to produce certain hormones. So that's the thing. And with adrenals, you need magnesium, which we talked about, potassium, sodium, to produce, from an elemental standpoint, the hormones that you need. Without that, you don't have the energy. So that's essential. And then upgraded tea is really a broad spectrum of 5 different nutrients that are great for a lot of things. It boosts fertility for people. There's 1 in 4 couples right now that are trying to conceive that can't. And we're about to do a clinical trial on that product as well to show the benefit there, the boost, but it's also confidence too, because your testosterone goes up just from the clinically studied ingredients in that on their own, without even the synergistic effect. There is about a 30% improvement in 90 days in studies in those amounts and those ingredients, if that makes sense.
Improvement in what?
In testosterone. specifically in 90 days.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
does testosterone
And
impact a man's confidence?
Absolutely. And a woman's.
Yeah.
For certainly.
For the reasons we already mentioned.
Right.
Phenomenal. Now let's talk about focus. What are some of the supplements that you'd recommend for focus? Barton, let's start with you.
Yeah, the stack I put together is not so much a nootropic. It's a 5 ingredient blend of, again, elements that we see are often missing from hair analysis. So most people are deficient in these, and without them, you literally can't make memories, like the actual. So yeah, it's really essential. That blend is called Upgraded Memory.
I see.
And it's one of, in my slide yesterday, Dave Asprey, I used one of his texts, which says, Upgraded Memory is legit. That's his favorite, I think, from what we do. And, it's a blend of different elements that you absolutely need and that support everything we're talking about. Like when Sean's, talking about paraxanthine and things, like, it's just in support of, right? So we need these elements just like we need magnesium to feel safe. Otherwise you won't. You guarantee that someone from a personality standpoint will be anxious if they're low in magnesium. They will feel a low mood for sure. Just like with lithium, they will feel a low mood as well. So really looking at the flip side of that coin and kind of going, here you go. With that, but other things for focus. I mean, we talked about alpha GPC, which is huge, tyrosine, which is huge. I like acetyl tyrosine. That form seems to work best for me. So, you'll see L-tyrosine in a lot of things, which is okay. It's more ubiquitous. I mean, there's a lot. You mentioned rhodiola, you mentioned ginseng. Maca is in our upgraded tea blend, and we use one from Peru. Yeah, the interesting thing about taking maca, for example, if it's not grown in some of these ways, maca that's grown at sea level is just a plant, really. If you take that plant now when it's struggling and it's up at 10,000 feet in Peru, and it's the clinically studied version and they're extracting it a certain way, that's a totally different outcome. So, when this is the only downside, when you kind of go on and you search just, broad maca on Amazon or something, and you're not getting a certain form, like Sean's patented certain forms of these nutrients that he's talking about. And then with upgraded tea, I'm using certain patented forms that have been clinically researched. So I'm not just saying Shilajit, by the way. Again, heavy metals, don't just do regular Shilajit. Avoid those heavy metals. There's great consequences to accumulating heavy metals. They're very difficult to remove from the body once they're in.
Amazing. So the customized high-end supplement that you'd recommend for that would be Upgraded Memory. Amazing.
Yeah, as just like baseline support. Yeah.
So Sean, what about your recommendations? What supplements would you recommend for focus, clarity of thinking, being able to crush it at work?
Okay, so obviously, again, paraxanthine is tremendous. I don't know anything like it. But going on from there, there's a really unique one. So we talked about BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That protein in particular is associated with neuroplasticity, which means the protection of neurons, your brain cells, as well as increasing the creation of new nerve cells, so neurogenesis. So there's a really interesting plant-derived compound called 7,8-dihydroxyflavone that increases BDNF. And that is really potent, I have found, for increasing focus, memory, resilience of the brain. So I love that one. He mentioned alpha GPC. That's probably my favorite form because, again, acetylcholine, when you're talking about like deep thinking, processing, working through problems, that's going to be really important as acetylcholine. So that goes back to like the alpha GPC, the huperzine A, potentially acetyl L-carnitine. Those are going to be really important there. I think that's like my most important ones, I would say. I mean,
and alpha GPC comes up again. That's something that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Another really interesting one for me has been, this kind of came from out of nowhere, and it was formulated in with my paraxanthine into a pre-workout. And then I was just blown away because I found that when I started stacking these two nutrients, like I was getting a lot of work done, is improving blood flow to the brain, which paraxanthine does, but it's this special form of arginine, a branded form, called, it's in kind of the gaming world, it's called New Level, but it's also called, what's the name in sports nutrition? Nitrosogene. So it's called nitrosogene in sports nutrition. It's called New Level, NOOLVL, in gaming, but it's the same compound, and it's a special stabilized form of arginine, and it's a lot more bioavailable, and it really enhances blood flow to the brain. So it's going to like basically supercharge a lot of these nutrients, and it's been amazing for cognitive focus.
Amazing.